Hi there, Phil again. This tip is on brassicas, such as I'm showing here. The brassica family does include wider members of the family such as radishes, kale, swedes and turnips, and also various sorts of cress and also radishes. So it's quite a wide group, and generally they prefer similar conditions. However, for this tip I'm only going to be including the main brassicas, which is to say cabbage, cauliflower, you can see there, and broccoli, which I've got going to seed there. Now these plants have all been bred from identical plants in the wild, so therefore they have the same genetic makeup as each other. So if you were to collect seed, which you can do, particularly from heritage open pollinated varieties, you have to be a little bit careful, because this cabbage, for example, if you left it, it will grow up and it will produce flowers and then a seed head, as that broccoli is doing there. However, if you were collecting seed from this cabbage and your neighbour had some broccoli or cauliflower flowering, then it is quite likely that you will get some strange sort of a hybrid which actually doesn't resemble either. So generally it is better to actually purchase commercial varieties. There's another reason for this, and that is quite a number of these plants are seasonal, so that the different cultivars have been developed for particular seasons. If you plant them in the wrong season, they're not necessarily going to do very well. If you buy plants commercially, which is my usual way of doing it, then they should have been grown for that particular season that you're heading into. So it is probably a safer option. Firstly, I'll look at soil requirements. The soil for growing brassicas should be deep, fertile and able to hold moisture. The various forms have a high requirement for nutrients, so the application of compost or fertilizer may be required. Personally, I continually improve the fertility of my soil through my chop and drop systems with weeds and crop remnants, so I never add any supplements from off my property. I do fork the soil deeply before planting. Secondly, crop rotation. Crop rotation should be carried out for this family as far as possible to prevent the build-up of clubroot, a disease of the roots that can build up in the soil if they are growing continuously in the same spot. I don't have a particular system for crop rotation. I just plant each new crop into a plot that hasn't grown them for several years, as you can see here. My next point is plant size and space management. Brassicas vary greatly in size. Here you can see cabbages forming, a larger cauliflower and much larger sprouting broccoli, which are finished cropping from and allowed to go to flower to encourage beneficial insects. Small vegetable plots may benefit from small growing and quick cropping plants like radishes or rocket. Larger varieties like Brussels sprouts, cauliflower and cabbage take up much more room and may need to be planted 60 centimetres, 2 foot or more apart. Smaller growing or mini varieties for some of these larger types are available. These can be planted closer together and will yield a smaller crop. Next, seed and plant selection. For the brassica genus, such as cabbage or cauliflower, it is usually best to grow crops from plants purchased from garden shops. This is because there are specific varieties for different seasons. Home gardeners might not find it practical to purchase the wide range of seeds needed for year-round growth. However, other members of the family, such as radishes, rocket and cress, can be easily and economically grown from seed, and you can save seed from these plants. Next, planting strategies. When planting a row of brassicas, I purchase a mixed punnet which I plant at about 6-week intervals for continuity. A row of a single vegetable will usually mature at the same time, which is not a practical outcome for most kitchens. For instance, it is hard to deal with a whole row of cauliflower at one time. A mixed row can provide a continual harvest, usually with broccoli cropping first, followed by cabbage and then cauliflower. I'll show you my planting process. In this bed that I am planting in early spring, I have a cover crop of borage, nasturtium and other plants which have self-seeded in the autumn. I chop them up roughly to encourage breakdown by microorganisms. Then I hoe them off and push them aside. They will be used as mulch through the growing season to protect the soil surface, prevent water loss, suppress weeds and provide ongoing fertility for the plants. Then I fork the bed deeply and rake over the surface to create a tilth. To get the plants out of their punnet, I splay my fingers over the plants and tip the punnet upside down. I can then press the bottom of each cell to free up the plants and tap them to release them into my hand. This avoids the damage to the roots that can occur if you pull the plants out. I usually plant them in a row, but don't bother with a string line as it is easy to see the line. I usually put the plants about 2 centimeters or an inch of stem below the surface. This helps to keep the plants firm and lessens the chances of them blowing over in the wind. Finally, pest management. Several types of pests, particularly caterpillars, attack brassicas during the warmer months and can destroy a crop in a very short time. While there are artificial and organic insecticides available, they need to be applied regularly. Insect-proof netting spread over hoops, ensuring there are no gaps, can prevent adult butterflies from laying eggs. Companion planting, as explained in other tips, encourages predators and parasitoids that help to keep caterpillar numbers in check. Since brassicas prefer cooler conditions, some gardeners choose to grow them only through the winter months. So that's it for this tip. I hope you found this useful. I do find that brassicas are very worthwhile plants to grow, as they're very versatile in the kitchen and you can grow them through most months of the year. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't done so you don't miss out on my tips, and also like this one, share it with others if you think they might find them useful. And of course, as always, thank you very much for watching this through to the end.